Hello there and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Satirical News, the show that brings you the most depressing stupidity and turns it into cheap laughs for our amusement. I'm your host, that racist little shit, and today's story comes to us from the Kool-Aid aisle of the internet. That's right, we managed to suit up one of our many expendable interns in lead-lined battle gear to retrieve this highly dangerous material all the way from the belly of the beast. Salon.com. And I'm sure you'll all be happy to know that the intern didn't suffer too much, as he requested to be put down humanely with a bullet to the head upon his return. So for today's breaking story, we'll be looking at said recovered relic titled so eloquently with, "Has Trump Wrecked Our Sex Life? Post-Trump Sex Disorder is Real," says sex therapist. A foreword to the audience. We apologize as we only had the one bullet and poor Jimmy was in bad shape. Anyway, big mean sex daddy.
Oh, baby.
What is that there for? What was that referencing? Salon turns to Dr. Susan Block for answers to questions you didn't want to ask. My God, that's strikingly true. Amen, Chauncey. Wait, Chauncey? Come hither, Chauncey. Mommy's got steakums for you. Something tells me this is going to read like it came from a pompous cartoon dog, too. Donald Trump has made America's mental health crisis much worse. Beginning with his presidential campaign and through his third year as president, the United States has experienced an increase in anxiety, suicide, depression, and other mental health problems. The President of the United States is also a role model. His or her behavior, really? Did I just, hold on a second, did I just write that or did I actually read that right? His or her behavior influences public. I believe Donald Trump identifies as a man. I think we can say that quite conclusively. Seriously, do you imagine that Trump is going to come out and say he's decided he's going to go tranny and his new preferred pronouns are she, her, and hers? I bet you weirdos have wet dreams about that shit, don't you? Don't you? The article goes on to say, Donald Trump's negative impact on mental health extends to the intimate sexual lives of many people as well. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. Trump's election crashed many an erection, and those identifying as having vaginas have all dried up into withered husks. Turns out the far left are sexually dysfunctional. Absolutely shocking news, I tell you. The article drags on. What is post-traumatic Trump disorder? How does Donald Trump's misogyny and other unhealthy behavior towards women reflect deeper systemic cultural problems in America around gender, sex, and intimacy? Well, we asked our astute specialists here at Satirical News and were met with blank stares, like deer caught in the headlights, shortly before becoming grease spots on the road. With a sense of impending doom and overwhelming urge to flee, we had to turn back to the article. In an effort to answer these questions, I recently spoke with Dr. Susan Block. Dr. Susie is the founder and director of the Dr. Susan Block Institute for the Erotic Arts and Sciences. Block is perhaps most well known for all kinds of insignificant shit that we don't care about. Oh, look, a video.
Oh, you're telling us that sex should be scheduled in some ways or planned? No, sex should be spontaneous. Sex should be spontaneous, and I hate the, you said we can say anything?
Say
I hate
it.
the word spontaneous when it comes to sex because
Ian, my homie, my bruh, my nigga. It's okay. It's okay. Sometimes some people, it's perfectly natural. You have stage fright. And maybe you have like a ritual where you have like a 30-minute pep talk, so you need to do a little bit of planning. But for the most part, I think people are okay with spontaneous.
as you said, we see the rom-com. Man enters room, women enters room, exchange glance, cut to, fantastic sex with mutual orgasm.
You know, Ian, just because you've never experienced it or it's never happened to you doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Sometimes things can get started just as quickly as the doors close to a room that happens to have a bed in it. And that's all I'm going to say because my little sister watches these sometimes, and I am a proper gentleman. Thank you very much.
I mean, everywhere in culture, I feel that sex has been depicted as something that's supposed to be spontaneous.
Oh yes, that's right. You see, Ian, for those of us who aren't dead inside, we have a thing called passion. Passion that when it's combined with somebody else who has passion and it's mixed between the two of them, it can lead to something called the heat of the moment.
Do you remember when we used to dance? And incidental rose from circumstance. One thing led to another, we were young. And we would scream to get our songs unsung. It was the heat of the moment.
And in truth, you know, we do hear, oh, men think about sex, 1,000 times a day, or 100 times a day, or 11 times a day, whatever the number is. And it is true that many men, and many women too, do experience a spontaneous desire, or can process a sexual cue into the arousal platform and want to have sex.
Right, Ian, right. See, you get it, you understand, and a lot of people experience it. So why do you hate the word and hate how it's portrayed if it's an accurate representation? That's right, because it's not inclusive enough, is it? You self-centered son of a bitch.
Okay, that's for some people. It's not for all people. It sometimes is for people in new relationships versus being in long-term relationships. But how do we actually thoughtfully create an environment in which we can allow ourselves to be aroused, go into our own bodies, get out of our own heads, remove all the stressors and inhibitors, and somehow engage the exciters? That does take a little bit of collaboration. It does take a little bit of planning. It's not just...
Ian. If two people are having to work that hard at getting things moving, where they need to sit down and plan for sex way in advance, and they need to find their center, they need to meditate so they can align their chakras and clear their mind of Donald Trump, they either need real therapy or they need heavy medication. Righto, so let's get back into the comedic tragedy that is this Salon article. It has had a big impact. For some people, Trump's campaign and presidency has created a type of PTSD, what I call post-Trump sex disorder. Hey my God. This has to be the most hilariously depressing thing I have ever covered on this channel. Trump has created feelings of fear, loathing, and nausea. People just don't want to have sex. Holy hell! That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You see, this is a Trump problem. It's not a personal problem. There's nothing to worry about. You totally don't have deeper-rooted personal issues that you should maybe address because your libido is dead in the water. That's right, everyone. No need to panic. Orange Man, just bad. This would mainly be seen with women who are just appalled at how creepy Trump is. He takes what is often a positive male attribute of confidence and pushes it way over the line into a rape-like and rape-entitled kind of arrogance. I'm so ever so sorry. I don't want to sleep with you. Your rape-like, rape-entitled arrogance is, quite frankly, it's making me dry up like the Sahara. Wow, I mean, you people have some serious association issues. Honestly, do you not have any life experiences and stuff? Did your parents never let you go outside and play when you were growing up as a child? Right. So the article continues on to make certain that we know that Orange Man is bad and project their daddy issues onto normal people who don't recoil in terror at the mere sight of a red hat. The writer can't help but launch all their self-defense measures, touting on about how conservatives are frightened and made angry by strong, independent, sexually confident women. And at one point even goes so far to call them right-wing conservative cucks, essentially preempting the fact that cuck is used as an insult by the far right, with a resounding, "No you." The article concludes with, what advice do you have for people who are experiencing post-Trump sex disorder? It's still so ridiculous. How can they salvage their intimate lives in a time of such fear, anxiety, violence, and worry? The summary of which is basically, talk about your feelings, don't shame the cucks, and stop being so damn sex negative. ironically missing the entire point that their sexual hangups come from who happens to be president right now. Oh no! You shouldn't maybe pull your nose out of the news in politics, you just need to give in to your sexual desires and that of your partners. And if it's some really freaky shit, just remember not to shame them for it, and tell them that they're a weirdo. And if it's some really extra weird shit that you just don't want to do, just tell them that you'd rather not do it with them in a nice way. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this episode of The Satirical News. Those of you interested in my actual, less humorous opinions should stick around. For everyone else, I'll see you next time. Well, that was fun. Honestly, I would have read more, but that article just seemed to go on and on and on and on forever. And I was just not willing to read through every bit of that ideological mess without being extremely inebriated, at least enough so as to endure the torture. However, for the more masochistic of you out there, a link to the article will be in the description down below. And may God have mercy on your soul should you go where mere mortals fear to tread. Now, I'm sure most of you know where I stand on this already, but I think the whole Trump derangement syndrome and all of this insane, backwards, regressive bullshit is just a symptom of too many children growing up without ever actually having had grown up. Too many kids manage to make it to adulthood without having been taught and given the tools to deal with their emotions and disappointments in life. They seemingly simply don't know how else to deal with adversity in a healthy and constructive way. It's really just, it's a sad thing to see, and too many of these people help to perpetuate each other's deeply damaged characters. So you don't have to grow up if you're in a room full of other broken children who give you a shoulder to cry on and tell you that it's all the orange man's fault. It's his fault you have so much anxiety, fear, and depression. It's the orange man's fault that your pee-pee no longer works and your relationships are dysfunctional. And on that note, I'm going to go a bit further here and address the lower half of the article. And I'm really going to piss some people off. I think being a cuck is disgraceful. Yes, I will shame you for being a cuck because I do think it makes you less of a man. I think you have some issues, some deep, dark, deep, way down in their issues if you want someone else to plow your significant other's field. Letting another person have a go at your partner is probably one of the most emasculating things I think you can possibly do. Most men lay someone out for even daring to put a hand on their girlfriend or wife in that manner, and I would too. If you are into that sort of thing, that's fine, you can do that. I don't think there should be any laws or anything against it. It's your prerogative. But I will respect you just a little bit less as a man for it. There are very few, and I mean very few things that I would kind of look down on someone for, and that just happens to be one of them. I believe that a man, woman too, should at least have a little bit of pride and dignity in the way they conduct their relationship with others. The whole thing comes off as letting someone take advantage of the person that you care about the most, and that's just simply something that I personally can't abide by. Now, I don't expect you to like my position on the matter or agree with me on the matter or any of the matters that I ever talk about, and you know what? That's perfectly fine. Again, I don't think it's something that should be illegal or anything like that. That's just my opinion. And you know what they say about opinions? They're like assholes. Everybody's got one. Well, let's wrap this thing up, okay? Stop blaming Trump for all your woes. Grow a backbone, get a spine, and actually address your problems. Stop being degenerates. Conduct yourself in your relationships in a healthy, respectable manner. Yeah, that goes for the straights, the bis, the gays, the trannies, whatever. Every kind of person is capable of having standards. Stop taking the shit you read on trashy little websites and the things you see on TV so damn seriously. Do your small part to better society and everything will be alright. And if you're still having problems in your bedroom, go find yourself a proper doctor and a proper psychiatrist who isn't going to tell you how it's all the patriarchy's fault. Okay, everyone. I do hope that you did enjoy the video. Thank you all so much for watching. I certainly do appreciate it. And of course, a special thank you goes out to my patrons for their support. You guys are awesome. Links are in the description as always, of course, and there's a tip jar down there too if you're feeling feeling a little extra frisky. But all that aside, ladies and gentlemen, I bid you adieu and hope to see you in the next video. But until then, remember, keep fighting stupidity wherever you may find it. Have a good one.